Hi, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. You're welcome.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here again to TOSSEtech 2020. Welcome, 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 everybody. We've been having interesting conversations about the future of education. Basically, the future is technology would be a major part of that conversation going forward. So it's my pleasure to be here again to moderate this event. So we've been having lots of conversations with teachers and parents and manufacturers of education technology. And then we thought, why don't we even just hear from the students we are building all these amazing things for? Why don't we hear from you all and see what it is you have to say? So as we proceed to hear from children today, I'm looking forward to a very robust and interesting conversation. Before we proceed, quick house rules. Please mute your mics, everybody, before we go into all our conversations. Please place your mic on mute. All attendees, you're welcome. Please feel free to drop a comment as much as possible. We'll try to keep a track of them and then try to make this as engaging as possible. Isn't it funny? We are having a live conference and we are all from different parts of the world. So if you are tuned into this conversation, just let us know where you are from. You can just drop your name in the chat box and state your location, where you are joining in from. I can see somebody is in from Kano State, Nigeria. You're welcome, Mr. Yaya Abubakar. You're welcome, everybody. So, first things first, now we'll be taking our national anthem. And leading us today would be Mr. Toyosi Adetunji. Over to you. National anthem, let's rise. Let's rise whilst Toyosi leads us. Thank you. Thank you. A round of applause for him. Thank you for that beautiful rendition of the national anthem. Thank you very much, Toyosi. Okay. So again, my name is Flourish Ayowale and I'm the moderator of this event today. It's my honor to welcome each and every one of us. I've seen we have Precious Omoshebi from Ogun State. We have somebody from Borno State. Hello, that's far. You're welcome. We have somebody from Abuja. We have lots of people from Lagos. We have lots of people from Ibadan. Welcome, 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 everybody. Confidence James from Lagos, you're welcome. Welcome, everybody. So, today I have with me tomorrow's leaders. You know, we always say children are the leaders of tomorrow. But today is your show, so you're leaders of today, right here, right now. Quick introduction of our panelists. I have about 6 panelists here with me. So let's start with you. We'll be moving this way. Let's begin with you, Marvin. Quick intro. We'll go this way. Your name, your class, and just something interesting about you. So we'll get started.
Hello, panelists. My name is Marvin Pitazadile. I'm from Ondo State.
Great. You're welcome, Marvin. Okay, Solomon, over to you. You're welcome, Solomon.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is
Good
Solomon. I'm from Lagos
afternoon.
State, and I love reading. So that's just enough about me.
Great. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Ayomide. It's good to have you here today.
My name is Ayomide Adetunji, and I'm
Really?
currently in school in South Africa. Well, I graduated already, supposed to go to college in a month, and I love playing basketball.
Great, great. With a voice like that, you're welcome. Hi, Sharafuddin.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammed
Good
Sharaf.
afternoon.
I'm a senior manager in MCN, so I represent MCN here today. Good afternoon.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Hi, Joseph. It's good to see you. Joseph Kupolati, you're welcome here today. So, quickly, before we get into, we are talking about technology in education. Before we get into that, I'd just like to feel the pulse. Like before COVID, before the pandemic, when everybody went online, before that time, what did we get right about education? What do you think, when you think back about education that time, what did you find effective? What was good for you?
Just a moment, our dear moderator. I think Rashidat and the other panelists, you need to get them to introduce themselves. Even though you can't see them, I know that,
Okay.
but I can see Rashidat
Oh, hi,
there.
Rashidat. I'm
yes.
so sorry. I did
And
not
the
see you earlier.
young lady
I
from
actually
Lagos
looked.
State also, yes. There are about 6 of them. You need to get all those. I know you can't see everyone, but they are the core panelists.
I can see you now, Rashidat. I'm so sorry. Please, quick introduction.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashida Flannery. I am currently in SS3 writing my final exams. I represent Vivian Fowler here today, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm a creative and also an orator. Thank you.
Great. An author. Welcome. Hi, Confidence.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Confidence James, and I'm from Lagos, and I'm a student here in Lagos, and I love reading, so quite a lot about me.
Great, you're welcome. Hi, Mofe.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mofe Ayadowu, and I'm from Lagos State, and I'm currently in SS3.
Great. You're welcome, everybody. Is there anybody left, or is there any other person I've left out by mistake?
Yes, I think there's a young lady from Lagos State, and then the one from Ladela. They are core panelists. I'm trying to see, yes, if they've been able to get in here. The young lady from Lagos State, maybe I'll just try to reach out to her. Please go ahead as they come in, yes.
Okay, so when if you're a panelist, when you take a question, if you haven't introduced yourself before, you can just begin with that, all right? Great. Okay, so I was going to start with this. What did we get right about education? What worked for you before COVID, before the virtual learning thing went mainstream? What was good about school? We'll start with you, Solomon.
Sorry. Thank you. That was a very good question to ask. So I think before COVID-19, what really was working for us students was the fact that we had physical interactions with one another, because I feel like it's a big motivation factor in the fact that you want to work as hard as the other person or work with the other person as well, as you're sharing their own perspective and their own way of learning and studying, which all in all helps elevate both, parties. So in a way, it was just like having someone to work with and be able to work with the teacher physically.
Yeah, so the physical interaction part, that's it. That's all we got right. Okay, so any other point of view? Confidence, let's hear from you. What did we get right about school pre-COVID, pre-virtual learning?
Okay, thank you, Ma, for that question. First of all, he has rightly said, Solomon rightly said, physical interaction with everyone, it's actually a very core thing that we need in school. And also all the sporting activities, the fact that you have to sit in groups to talk with your classmates and everything, it just feels so more better. It feels better that way when you have that physical interaction, part that the sporting activities and all. So I think that was what I was enjoying before the COVID-19, pre-COVID-19.
Okay, so basically school was your social space. Okay, how
Yes.
about something academic? Anybody wants to contribute to that? Mofe, you have some. Okay, Udoka, I can see you. Right after Mofe, we'll take what you have to say. Hi, Mofe.
Okay, well, in terms of academics, learning in school was easier because you were just there with the teachers, and you could have one-on-one classes after school and things like that. So just be clear, and lessons with your friends and no extra lessons. So it was a lot easier in school.
Oh, right. That's a surprise. Thank you. Udoka, you raised your hands.
Yes, I'm Ujoka from Borno State, Nigeria. Learning in school was a lot easier because apart from theory classes, we also had practicals. Like if we learned something in class, we could also put it into practice. Like in agri, if we learned something in class, we could go to the garden and go to the lab, and it helped us remember things. And it was a lot easier with practicals to also remember the theory of a subject. Thank you.
Wow, nice, interesting. Thank you. So from what we can gather, I think that with pre-COVID, a lot of the students enjoy the social part of school, meeting up with your friends, and then hands-on learning. Udoka said something about practicals, visualizing things and seeing them in real time. Anybody has any different thing to say apart from the social parts and then the hands-on learning part? Okay.
I do.
Oh, okay.
The difference between pre-COVID and now is that not everybody's a physical learner. That's something that we need to take into consideration. A lot of people, for me, example, I learn by actions, by moderation. It's not just telling me what to read and what to write. So the fact that teachers could communicate in another form aside using their words made school a lot more easier to learn. Like I'm an art student, I'm a creative. I take subjects like photography, I take like clothing and textiles. There's only so much you can do online. There's only so much you can do in person. It has to do with explaining, using your hands, things like that made the whole pre-COVID thing different from now.
Okay, so we weren't doing terribly bad pre-COVID from what we gather. So there were things we got right. And I think that going forward, every stakeholder needs to think about some of the points that you have raised. And if all we are going to be able to do would be virtual learning, we sort of have to find a way to build in some of the things that's worked for you before school. So we have to find a way to bring it into our virtual learning spaces. That's what I understand from what you have said. Now let's go into the nitty-gritty of today's conversation. So far, some of you have had a full term of virtual learning, of online learning. Some of you have had a few months. What were the biggest surprises you found? This can be positive, this can be maybe not positive. What are some of the biggest surprises that you found learning online? Did you find that you were able to grab things faster, or did you find it terribly difficult? What were some of the surprises? And then, okay, so when you answer this question, I assume that some of you have siblings, younger siblings especially, who are not able to join us. So you could also chip in some of the things you've observed from maybe your younger ones in preschool or primary or elementary school. So you can also raise some of the points. What were some of the biggest surprises with online learning? We'll begin. Oh, Joseph, I see you. Do you want to contribute to that? Okay.
Thank
so
you
let's
very
have
much. Well, basically what I've learned from online school is that it doesn't make children interact very well with everybody, as everybody has said. It makes children lazy. It makes children not want to work. Makes people think that because they are home, they don't need to work very well. But to get motivation, we need to go to school. So that's what I learned.
Interesting. Thank you, Joseph. Ayomide, you're itching to say something. What were some of your biggest surprises with virtual learning?
For me, there weren't.
And then you can also speak for some of the people you've interacted with apart from yourself.
For me, there wasn't much because at that point when this all started, I was only taking one major A-level class, and it was just physics. So the only issue there was in terms of the practicals, as was said before, but there was a website my teacher ended up speaking about, and then we tried to figure out what to do around that. Although we ended up not writing the actual A-level exams, and we just sent in scores, predicted scores to the stuff. But throughout that period, we wrote 2 extra exams, 1 mock exam and a final exam for it all. We ended up not doing practicals per se, but we did something in terms of alternative to practicals, which was already part of the exam in itself. But in general understanding, I think we were able to figure a way around that. But the major thing is I realized how lazy we really are in terms of, and how much the physical classes are useful to a bunch of people. But for me, it wasn't as useful to me because I can be in class. Yeah, I can be in class and I may not be listening. And more times than not, I have to study on my own because in class, it's not really my thing. But for some people, it's the way they enjoy learning. Yeah.
You said something about alternative to practicals. Considering many people have expressed concerns about practicals, what were the alternatives to practicals that you found?
For that particular exam, it wasn't necessarily an alternative to practical, but it's one of the exams we would have normally written, but it was basically an alternative to practical. So we just wrote just that one. The actual practical, there was no point writing it anymore.
Okay. Does somebody have experience with younger learners? We've taken a couple of voices. Does anybody have anything to say for younger? Okay, thank you, Solomon.
Rashida's hand is also up. Rashida's hand is also up.
Okay, I see you, Rashida, right after Solomon. I think, Solomon, you raised your hands, did you?
No, Rashida raised her hand first, so she can answer the question first.
Thank you. Rashida, I see you, Marvin. We'll take your point of view right after.
Okay, thank you. I have a little brother that is in his junior class, and I also have a little cousin that comes over to have our online class. And then one thing I realized that it was more exhausting for them because school usually has a fixed regimen. They have a timetable. They wake up at 6, you go to school, come back at 4, have lunch. I realized that my siblings and my cousin were having trouble eating. They would end up eating at 10 in the night because they haven't realized it. And then having online classes, you have a particular subject and in like a few minutes of break, you have to go back. You haven't gotten over what you learned before. It's not like in physical classes where you break it down and towards the end of the class, you guys are wrapping up and you're talking about something else. So to a very large extent, having classes online was very exhausting. It was tiring. They forgot their priorities. Sometimes they didn't even, usually I'm a Muslim, so sometimes we have to pray at 4 or 2. They didn't remember to do that. It was when the day was over, then you figure out everything you've missed. So it was uncomfortable for them, especially because they are so young. We all are, and they need to have some things at certain times. So they had a lot to deal with. It was mentally exhausting.
Wow. Interesting take. I sort of can relate with that. I have a preschool kid with me, and so I think that, yeah. I just wonder, okay, so Rashida, was that your experience as well? Did you experience that as well? Or just younger learners?
Yes, especially because I was
more exhausted.
I'm preparing for WIAC as well. So there's only so much my teachers can pass to me through Google Classroom or through a Zoom meeting. So hours of time that normal time that I would have spent in school, let's say having lunch or relaxing, I was trying to keep up with what the teachers had taught me an hour before. So I'm not losing too much. I'm not missing too much on it. So yes, it was exhausting physically and mentally.
Interesting. Marvin.
Good day, everyone. My name is Marvin Peter Adile, and the surprising thing that really struck me was that I could relate with my teachers better. I was more focused because my parents and my brothers were here, so they could check up on me. Unlike in the school, I could play with my classmates and forget my work and things like that. So I could really focus in terms of all of the things I do in class because my parents were really on me.
Okay, so you found you were able to focus a little more at home than at school.
Yes, I think the parents' angle is actually the one that is been able to bring out now. That online learning will succeed only if parents are involved. That's a key point to take away. Yeah. Okay.
Lotana, can we hear from you? There.
Sounds fun. Hi everyone. My name is Lotana Henry. I'm still in my year 8. I'm in just 2. I'm currently in 3rd term because COVID halted 2nd term, so I had to finish it online. So I'm in 3rd term, just finished writing my first CA exams.
Okay.
Like I'm into football and sports, very active person.
Okay. Yeah, so the question, what were some of the surprising things you found with online learning?
Honestly, nothing really that surprising about it. It seemed okay, but then the meeting with your fellow friends and classmates, nothing can actually replace that. So online learning isn't the same, but then I didn't find it challenging, didn't find it different. Already used to things like this, like devices and gadgets. I enjoy using them, so merging them with my learning made me feel a lot better. Distractions might be a problem time to time.
Okay.
And other attributes come in.
I'm really quite surprised. You know, I think that's why a conversation like this is really important. I was thinking that most of the older students, preteens, and teenagers will be like, yeah, I get to learn from home. So I'm really, really quite surprised with some of the points that we have all raised, you know, up till this point in the conversation. So with some of the challenges that you have raised, I want you to start with this. What resources have you found useful? Now I'm talking books, apps, LMS, whatever. You know, we've raised some of the challenges, you know, that we encountered. When you were stuck, what did you find to be useful in overcoming that with online learning right now? So please feel free to mention, you know, anything that has been successful for you.
For me, I generally most of the time, I really find it hard to listen in class because half the time there are a bunch of people there, and then it's quite easy for me to lose focus. And so for me, I'm almost always on my computer. I have a second monitor on the side right now. So I'm always searching for ways to understand stuff because sometimes I may be in class, they may tell me this thing, but I often go towards the root of the issue. So looking for sites that universities, like there are some notes that universities keep on their database that you can find on the internet somewhere. Although you may not understand every single thing there, often there are a few things that are useful to help you buttress what you learned in class and helps you understand too. And in terms of resources, I think the fact that I was already used to it before anything COVID did to me, I don't think it really changed anything for me.
So do you think maybe, sorry to interrupt, does that mean it will get better the longer we use this? Does that mean that our experiences with online learning will improve?
Almost inevitably, because the reason why we're so used to this system is because it's what we've been doing for, most people have been doing since they were born, basically, or they started going to school. So that's one of the things, because I also think teachers in themselves also need to move forward with getting outside resources, because some of the books, the way things are explained there are archaic and somewhat hard to understand. And if teachers, parents, the students themselves understand that school is not the only place, it's not just books, because I can get almost any book I need to on the internet. You can also find those resources on different websites explaining them. Like, there are Indian guys on YouTube that I watch when I don't understand something, and I gain so much understanding. And then, yeah, it depends. It depends on how those resources are if they're not fully utilized, it will seem like there is no progress. But
so what are some of the resources you found?
Oh, like I said before, I know YouTube is very useful in terms of understanding, because there are a lot of people who just create videos explaining certain topics, and you yourself could also create videos trying to understand, because the more you try to explain to someone else, more times than not, you begin to understand those things. And there are also websites that catered towards that. I know for my A-level stuff, I know there was a website I used for flashcards. I think it was, forgetting the name of the website, but I basically would just read some full topic from my notes and create flashcards on important things I noticed. Because normally I don't underline in my books. I rarely make any annotations. But while I'm reading, I note down some certain things that I know that I would need to remember, that would help me create connections to the other things that I will most likely not remember. So the thing is, people are not yet used to those resources. They've not seen those resources, and finding them may prove tedious or may also prove quite easy, depending on how far you're willing to go. Because people also don't go past the first page after a Google search. There are like millions of pages, and sometimes there are gems in those places. And yeah, generally, the internet, your computer, there are some things the computer can do that actually do help you understand. Like, if you decide to go through how the computer works, it will help you understand some things in mathematics.
Mute yourself. Sherifat, mute yourself.
So,
please mute yourself.
Yeah, generally, I don't think it's a bad thing per se, or it's going to be harder. But I think there should be, for now, if there were a balance between the two things, because there are a lot of things that would have made the work easier for teachers, students, parents, even for kids. Because my brother, I think, was on this call. Yeah, my little brother, he uses the computer. He plays games almost every single day. But even in those games, there are a lot of things you can learn. There's coordination, there are a bunch of things in everywhere. And I think that's one of the important things about this time we're in, the fact that we're stuck at home, and it gives us time to ponder. Because there are a bunch of things, apart from technology in itself. Technology has its good, it has the bad things. It can distract, it can also help, which is one thing I noticed. But there's also the drive to actually learn that needs to be there for people to actually utilize utilize these things. So even if you give someone every single thing you think they would need or possible to give them, it does not mean that everything will go right. It just means they have a larger chance of making it go right. Yeah.
Okay. I think Sherifat, representing Lagos State, is also in, so that you will be able to also, get the perspective of students in public schools. And I know that Solomon is also here. He will share also the perspective of students that are about to go to universities. So please, moderator, the two of them are there for you. Where is our moderator?
And you have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Okay, so hi Sharifat.
Hello everyone, I am Omar Sharifat, and I am the current speaker of Lagos State Students Parliament. Okay. And I am in SS2.
Great to have you. So, tell us, what have your experiences been? What have you experienced with online learning? Whatever, maybe in a structured format, at home by yourself, however it has gone for you.
In my own perspective, it hasn't been easy for me because at times there might be bad service, especially no electricity, no lights, and data problem. And some of my colleagues have been stopping me. They've not been finding this online lesson easy because most of their parents cannot afford phone for them. And this online lesson requires a phone. Without a phone, one can't get to join with the online lessons. So we'll be bombarded with lots of threats. Inside, let me just say 100%, just 30% of us have the privilege to join online lessons. I've even experienced bad network for like more than 2 weeks because at times they might give us an activity and time us to do. So after doing the activities and I want to send the activity for them to cross-check if I'm wrong or I'm right. Then back service will come. There was a particular time to the extent of me getting angry of throwing my phone on the floor because of bad service, because I've been trying harder, I've been working harder to get that class activities. But after doing that, I found out that I can't submit due to bad service, and that made me feel bad. I haven't been finding this online lesson that easy because it's really giving me tough time.
Wow, interesting. Sharifat has raised a very fundamental point about access to devices, access to gadgets, access to the internet, to quality functional internet. And that means that this round of questions would call for a sort of response from you, Sharafuddin. But before that, I want to hear from you, Korede. You there?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Korede Flying from Lagos State.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Sharifat raised some points about access, but what has your own experience been?
My own experience, online classes have been okay, but there are sometimes that signal is not really good, and I tend to miss some things that are going on in class. Yeah, there's sometimes that signal is like really bad. And again, to read the teachers too, because it's not every time I get to chat with my teachers, so it's not every time I see them to ask them what went on in the classroom. So apart from that, online classes have been okay. Then for the test, the teacher, they tend to slash the time for tests. Like a test that is going to take for 20 minutes, they make it 10 minutes because they're like, it's an online test that we might cheat and all, but that 10 minutes is not enough. Like my brothers now, they had a they're in the university now, and it was only 5 minutes for the test. I think 10 questions or 20, and they couldn't complete everything under it. So that's one of the problems that they face.
Wow, that's a unique one. Like teachers slash the time because they are concerned about exam malpractices. So a test that should take you 20 minutes, you're given 10 minutes to complete all that work. Wow, thank you so much.
Ma'am.
You know, that is something I absolutely have never thought about, and I'm sure that that is something that is pretty new to everybody here. Solomon, you wanted to say something. Rashidat, I see you.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to have the floor. Firstly, I think that, or at first, we should thank all the educators in the meeting, because I understand that it's very hard for them to adapt to this situation we're in, especially when it comes to technology, because of course, like with pros and cons, it's very hard to get used to something you're not really used to, especially in a classroom environment. Because what I've noticed is that a lot of teachers kind of fear the use of technology because they're not used to it. Most of them are used to textbook learning or learning physically, like everyone has said before. And it's very hard for them to adapt to this new style of education, especially when working online with students. Because from my experience, you have people who not only are in different time zones, but are in different countries and areas. So it's very hard to have a proper schedule for everyone. And the whole point is that you're not only just teaching them, or you're trying to teach them, you're trying to make the classroom much more interesting. You're trying to get them engaged. And of course, it's a problem if you don't really know how to use technology to your aid for that reason. And that's why a lot of people are logged off or not really focusing in class or having problems to understand. And of course, we can't fully blame technology, as you know, we are just using what we can in this situation. And the fact is, if teachers become more experienced or they become more used to this, because for example, I remember my mom, every time she'd always ask me to help her do a Zoom meeting. And of course I got tired because I was like, why can't you do the Zoom meeting? Like, you know, so easy. And then one day, finally, she actually got the hang of it, and I felt really proud of her. And that's the sort of thing we should be pushing teachers to do, so that at the end of the day, they don't have these like new tools to their use. When, by God's grace, COVID-19 ends, they can now implement technology into their classrooms physically, so that they can get the students more engaged, and you know, they learn a lot more easily.
Thank you. So it will be a learning curve for you. The students have said it's a learning curve for you. It's a learning curve for teachers. Yeah, I see you, and I'll take you shortly. But Rashidat, you wanted to make a contribution. Right after Rashidat, 1 minute. Mr. Sharafuddin, people have raised significant points. We have teachers who are maybe trying to conserve data, so they are slashing time allotted for tests and examination and trying to, you know, protect or just guard against examination malpractice. That's one. We have students complaining about access, not being able to turn in work in at the right time because network is bad and stuff like that. So I'm sure you have unique perspective. You have a unique perspective on that, and will be willing to take it pretty soon. But Rashida, quickly, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I just wanted to say that Nigeria's learning curriculum is not built to withstand online learning, because there's some subjects that
you know that?
There's some subjects that it's almost impossible to have to deal with unless you personally call up your teacher to explain certain things to you. We have tried to modify, and it's not just about people not being able to use technology. People are seeing COVID-19, like the whole pandemic, as something that is going to pass. They're not looking at something that we have to going to learn to live with. And that's the big difference. My brother's in university, and he has learned to modify his learning in the house to what the school has provided for them, which is much different than what me and my set mates have been able to do. We're just seeing as, you know what, let's do what we have to do till we have the next opportunity. And aside that, nobody is being particularly honest with the learning. A lot of kids, from here, for example, they teach something on Zoom or something, or Google Classroom. They ask, does anybody understand? Everybody says yes, because we just don't want to have to sit through another 1 hour of them explaining that we know we can't get. We've tried to learn longitude and latitude on Zoom, and it was a whole mess that when they asked, Does everybody understand? Everybody said yes, and we did not understand it.
Because you were done. You just wanted to get out.
We were just frustrated about it. We just said, you know, let's just do it. Then we went, anytime we have a meeting, then we finish the school meeting and everybody goes to a group and starts complaining, starts ranting. And now wire came up and everybody started freaking out. We started wondering, what do we have to do? The teachers have been teaching, but are we understanding? So it's something that before it can be implemented before technology can be properly implemented, some things need to be specified. The curriculum is just, like for mathematics, for example, they can give you financial mathematics. You have commercial math, you have profit and loss, you have word problems. Then you see your textbook and you look like, how can I do this online? Or you see something that has to do with fractions and algebra. You try to type it out in a Zoom classroom. Even the teacher finds it hard to read what you've typed. I hope I'm making sense.
Oh,
Yes,
I think I sort of understand in terms of equations and things like that.
The first few weeks, I just had to I was sending my assignments through emails rather than the deadlines. I had my teacher's number, so I sent him I had my teacher's email, so I sent him an email. Then he said that, you know what, let's figure this out personally. And then he had to do one-on-one teachings, having to make him fill me into his regular timetable was headache enough. And then I am in a house with my parents. You know, especially in Nigeria, you have responsibilities as a child. You have duties you have to do for your parents. Like when you wake up in the morning, they can't just expect you to sit down and be on your laptop. Even if you're learning, they might not understand that. Then you have to help them with stuff because they couldn't leave the house and were working from home. And they had to also have their own meetings. So you had to do theirs and do yours at the same time. And by 10 o'clock, you realize you're so exhausted, you don't want to wake up at 8 in the morning again.
Wow. Wow, Rashida,
this is really quite humbling. So the next set of questions I'm going to take that we are going to talk about, honestly, you guys, we need to talk about examination malpractice. I have heard lots of complaints. I mean, you guys are cheating. Look at all these beautiful faces. And, you know, I'm sort of heartbroken that really, I mean, we are trying to make this work and then you are cheating on your test and your examinations. So, but before we take that, we have a pending issue that Sharifat rightly raised, the issue of internet access. Mr. Sharafuddin, are you here? Apparently you have a case to answer. Like, why are you guys letting?
Okay, so my view is...
Please introduce yourself so people know where you're coming from.
Okay, my name is Mohammed Sharaf, or you can call me Sharafuddin. I'm the senior manager in terms of propositions. And the education sector for enterprise actually sits under me. So I can speak very well about where we are and what we offer today in terms of education and what is happening right now. So my perspective or my opinion is I've heard so many beautiful things that have been discussed here by Rashida, Solomon, you know, so many very intelligent students that we have here. I feel very old right now. But I think this is here to stay. We're going to have this kind of system, online learning, for a while now. I don't think we're going back to point 1 where we were. Let's say we've moved to point 10 now. We'll probably move back to maybe point 5 or 4. But I don't think we'll ever go back to that time when it was strictly physical learning. Okay?
Exactly.
So for us at MTN, when this started, what we did was to look around at what were the important sites that helps this to work as a technology provider. Okay? So the first one are the platforms, the Google Classroom, the Microsoft Teams, and the rest of them. The second are the devices, the laptops, the tablets that you use, the phones that you can use to access. And then the third one being data. Data is internet, okay? And when you talk about internet, you talk about the availability, the stability, you talk about affordability, you know. Those 3 things are what comes together to help this kind of learning, because everybody needs it now. Parents are running around looking for laptops and looking for internet and looking for the platforms through the schools, you know. But that is what it is. So MTN came up with what we call the education suites. And what that does is to give you wholesale data, especially to your school, in such a manner that is much more cheaper than what you'd ordinarily get. So this is our own way of supporting. Wholesale data, meaning instead of buying 1 gigabyte as a consumer through your phone, I am giving you like 1 terabyte or 500 gig to your school, so that your school can now share amongst students, teachers, and then even parents. So it becomes much more cheaper. You give them a platform, a self-service platform, where you can log in, see the 1 terabyte or 500 gig or whatever, and then send to Yahaya, send to Solomon, send to the teacher, send to everyone, one after the other, so that they can have access, okay? And then within that suite, we also have Microsoft Teams and Google Classroom. Okay. Because we have gone to partner with these providers, okay? So that when you come to us, we can give you everything you need. And then within that platform, the third part is the devices, which I talked about. So you can buy cheaper laptops, you can buy tablets, you can buy whatever you need to ensure that collaboration goes on. So what we've done is just to help this more affordable than what it would ordinarily be.
More affordable. Okay. So I've read 1 or 2 things about that's a good one, I suppose, you know, for those who are able to take advantage of it. I've read about sites that people can access, learning sites that people can access for free without data, sort of like what some providers do with Facebook. Are there sites like that? Are there learning sites that people with maybe an MTN SIM can access for free?
Yeah, so we have that under our M-Pulse proposition on the consumer side. M-Pulse is strictly for youths, is strictly for the young ones. When you're on M-Pulse, then you can have access to such. So there is a compilation of learning sites that have been put together, either discounted or entirely free. But on those sites, you can get like free learning materials, you can get past questions and answers to JAMB and WAEC, you can get even scholarship opportunities, you can get skill development videos, you know, all these kind of things that help learning is there on MTN Online /MPulse. So yes, we have that option also.
Okay. So hopefully that somebody would hear that and find that very useful. Any other thoughts, sir?
Like I said before, I think this is here to stay. So there are views on whether I'm enjoying it or I'm learning or I'm not learning. You can see different people have different views, but we all have to find that balance of where it works for us, because I seriously don't think we're ever going back to that point zero. So the sooner we start to get to it, the better for us. I think I agree with Rashida when she said that the Nigerian curriculum is not suited for online learning. It's true, this is new for every one of us. This is new across the globe. Even in the developed world, they are struggling to ensure that this learning goes on like that. Do you understand? So my view is we will have to find a good ground, a working ground where this becomes normal, because this is the new norm. It's not going to be 100%
finding
online.
a way to make this normal.
Yeah, it's not going to be 100% online, but I think online is going to serve as part of our learning going forward.
Great, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so whilst we took that conversation.
Just a moment, moderator.
Yes,
I know that we have here somebody that I would also like to hear from, Mrs. Funke Fowler Amber. And then I also see that the Tutor General of one of District 1 in Lagos also is also trying to get it. Please, let's call Mrs. Amber. And then if I can get the tutor general and try to bring her in, then we can also take one or two things from her also. Because let's hear from that other side. The students have said so many amazing things. We even need somebody to speak up on behalf of the parents. You can see that Rashida said that we're always sending them around when they need to be studying until 10 a.m. They've not yet settled down to do their work. And I mean, I can see me in that. That's a typical Nigerian parent. I will need to get a cup rather than stand up. I will call the child that is downstairs and shout for that child to come and bring me the cup that is right in my room. So I know what she's talking about. Please, let's hear from Mrs. Amber.
Thank you. You're welcome, Ma. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yes, thank you so much. It's nice and refreshing to see such intelligent children, but that is the future. We're going to constantly be challenged by these generation I call the alpha generation, who are born into technology. I think speaking as an educator, hearing from these children has made it quite clear that we all have to pivot in the journey towards technology. Understand that technology, I heard my son making fun of me that I couldn't start Zoom meetings, and that is true. I had to start looking at tutorials. Yes, I had to start watching tutorials, and I've become an expert now. So you're going to fail at what you're doing. But on a more serious note, we should now, moving forward as educators, understand that we cannot use technology as an extra class, like if you're doing chess or you're doing Scrabble. Technology has to be married into the curriculum permanently, whether it's in the public sector or is in the private sector. It has to be our own new normal going forward. So I think to those educators that are out there, these children represent just a portion of what you're seeing. The alpha generation who are coming after them, they were born into technology. They're online probably half the time that they're spending. And to our children who think that there's a lot of work that you're getting, you're competing with Asia, you're competing with the Americas, where they have been working with technology from birth. So if you want to be technologically solid, it is important that our students embrace technology and the teachers also embrace technology so that human capital development can increase in our nation, and then we can also be competitive, because we've learned a lesson from this. Education is now going to go beyond academics. It's not about the books you know. It's about how savvy are you online? How savvy are you with technology? So we all have to pivot, like I said, and we all have to embrace technology. You're going to fall. The fun thing about technology is that to get better, you have to keep falling. But I think your nephew mentioned that there's so many tutorials. I go online and I do a lot of tutorials. I listen to a lot of webinars. So I'm encouraging all educators that so that we don't kill the destinies of our children that are coming, it is important we embrace technology. Whether you're in the public school or in the private school, one thing you have to understand is there's going to be a point in the next year or two where everything is going to be hybrid. It's not going to be just brick and mortar anymore. Yes.
Absolutely.
Hybrid.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I think exactly. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
I think I can see the Okechi from Abuja. She's representing Ladela Schools, Abuja. I think it's important we call her also. I didn't see her in earlier. So she's one of the original panelists also. Please, she's here.
I don't see you, but if you're here, please.
Yes, I can see her. Yes.
Okay, good evening.
My name is Angel Ogechi Oko. I'm from Abuja, and I attend Ladela Schools. I'm also in SS2.
To have you. Great.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome. Thank you very much. So, I'll pick it up with you, the next set of questions. People have concerns about examination malpractice. So, honest question between you and I, even though the world is watching, are your friends cheating in their online tests and examinations? You can tell me.
I didn't hear you, sorry.
Are people you know cheating on online tests and examinations?
If I have to be
Just
honest,
tell the
yes,
truth.
yes.
Okay, so really, how are we going to get past that? Thank you for being honest. Thank you so much for being honest. Solomon, I know you want to say something about that and we'll get there. But really, I mean, that's sort of, we're in a fix. If we cannot get past that, we are in a fix. If you guys are being taught, why are we cheating on online tests?
Well, sometimes you could say that even though you're being taught, it's the understanding. If you didn't really understand what was happening or what you've been taught, your last result is to cheat. Or since you're in the comfort of your own house, you don't really want to listen to like any lessons or anything. You just think about, oh, my laptop is right here, my phone is right here. I can just cheat my way out. If it's an easy escape.
Easy escape.
Yes.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking. Solomon. Okay, so anybody on the panel here?
I'd like to hear from both Solomon and Rashidat on this issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I see you.
Yes.
What I actually like to say is the fact is I will not lie. I'm not gonna lie to anybody that yes, people do cheat online. Yes, it's a problem. But the fact integrity and values are foundations that parents are responsible for. And of course they begin at home. So the fact is when we were in school, obviously we were monitored 24/7. So there was really no way of testing our integrity or allowing us to, cheat. I mean, of course, there have been some cases of people cheating in class physically. But the fact is that now we're at home, we're in a new environment where we have control of whatever we do. Even our so-called parents that even check up on us, when the class starts or when we're doing an exam, they leave the room. So it's now just us and our computer. So the fact is like, unless parents teach their children integrity or values, or the fact is, like I said, when it starts from home, it means that it has to start from now. So if they weren't being taught before, what's stopping them from doing it now? For example, the school I go to, United World College, they are founded on integrity. The slightest thing and you're out. So of course, being at home, I would not want to breach, their rules, even if I am by myself. And even though there is a less likely probability that I get caught. So the fact is like, unless these are being taught at home, then people are still going to keep cheating.
So thank you. That's a valid point. Apparently your parents are, about a lifestyle of integrity, but you raised something about the consequences where you study, where you school. Like the penalties are really high and very stiff. Once anybody is caught cheating, then it's straight out of there. So stiffer penalties.
I have an example for you.
Okay.
So for instance, I remember we were doing a test and this person, he didn't cheat through the whole exam, but they only caught him using his phone and his phone was turned on. So exam paper was canceled, his certificate was canceled, and he was thrown out of school. So of course, from that, you'd already be like, I am not going to cheat, because even the slightest thing can get you kicked out. So of course, if I have that fear in school now, why would it disappear if I'm doing online school? Because of course, the thing about technology is that it aids both sides. So even if I'm cheating, there's still a high chance that you will catch me cheating. Because the fact is, like, you can't expect like a C student who was getting C's and just like progressing slowly in school just to become an A-star student immediately while he's at home. Of course, there has to be an investigation, because the fact is, like, another thing like that is like, I mean, of course, it's possible, but that's sort of like progress. It's not something that can go under the radar.
Yeah, because I've seen and I've met some children who found that they were doing better learning from home, because maybe some of them are visual learners and then they're able to watch videos, doing better. But I know, right, going from a C to an A is sort of radical. But yes, people can get better grades from home. But I like the point you raised about stiffer penalties. Yeah, I see you. You were going to say something. Is the tutor general in now?
I think I'm just about bringing her in. So that's what,
Okay.
please, Rashida also has her hand up, and yes.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I know just yes.
Yeah,
and
you're from Kano State, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ma, for giving me this wonderful medium to talk. I'm Haya Bakar from Kano State. What I can say about this, it's about the issue of cheating by using technological advancement as a student. So to be honest, this is happening day to day. Students do use to cheat using technological advancement, but what I'm going to say is that it is my humble appeal to every student around the world that technology, we do believe that it's very important. It helps learning very much and many other things. But one thing is that at times students used to use the technological advancement in a negative way. Some students never bother to read, even when this lockdown period that we spend almost 6 months at home, many students doesn't bother to read or to go to the website that they can read. They just bother to just do their games, download videos, and many other things that cannot benefit them. So this is the main problem that is facing. Therefore, students need to be using technological advancements in a proper way so that they can get what they're supposed to get as a student. So this is the main problem.
Thank you very much. I saw a quote, I saw something that Mr. Dudo shared. He said, cheating is easier with technology, but with time, technology itself will find a way around that. That's a very, very hopeful statement to make. But pending that time, then what do we do, Rashidat?
Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to be brutally honest. Yes, people are cheating. A lot of people cheat during this whole online learning. But I'm going to explain the.
Okay, so please clarify. Just clarify this for me. Are we talking about people who would not usually cheat, or people who usually would try to cheat? Do you find the people who do not usually cheat as
people who, yes,
starting to cheat?
Yes, because I'm going to say this from a student perspective. When people that don't usually cheat start to cheat, it's more of a mental thing. It's not that, okay, they just want to do it. It's about, you're so exhausted at the end of the day, you can't bring yourself to sit down for another 5 hours or 2 hours to read something over and over again. Because the way the online learning thing works is that you sit down in a place with a device and you have your classes through it. There's no really moving around. Not like in class where your teacher says, oh, you, what did I say? Or what's the last thing I said? What did we do last week? So you're sitting down in one place and it gets exhausted. So when you have a test tomorrow and you finish classes at 4, the only thing that comes to your mind is, you know what, don't worry, I'm at home. Nobody will find out anyway. So it's less of a moral thing and more of a mental thing. You're exhausted. A lot of people just complain. You see what? People will be like, oh, we have an exam tomorrow. Like, okay, no problem. I'll just check my textbook. That's why.
Interesting. Mr. Sharafuddin, are there any solutions? Have you seen or heard of anything to get us around this part?
I think this is a tricky one because honestly, how do the teacher invigilate you at home? Okay, but I think also there are emerging technology that enables
such as.
Okay, so there are some modules online.
Okay.
And this has nothing to do with NPM.
Okay.
There are some modules online that kind of set questions in a manner that it engages you in a way that you are the one answering the question or you're not. Do you understand? So they're like maybe objective questions that is time-based, and you have certain number of minutes to deal with an answer, and you have to look at it, answer the question because it's multiple choices, and then move to the next question within a certain time, which means you do not have time for a textbook. Do you understand? So there are all these kind of technologies, people are learning. You see, the way the world works is that you move into a new field, people find a negative way to deal with that field. And then technology comes back to deal with, to close that loop again. Then we move again, then it closes, then we move again. So it's a learning phase. We have to learn, unlearn, relearn. Learn, unlearn, relearn. That's how the world moves. And I think we're going to get there sometime.
Thank you. You know, somebody said something. I'm sorry I missed your name. The person said that there would be a need for us to find a way of assessing learning beyond written examinations. If you are the person that said that, you can please say that again so I can get a hold of you. Mofe, tell me, are your friends cheating? Tell us. Are they cheating on their test?
Moderator, please, the Tutor General is also in now. After Mofe, we'll just get her to speak for about 1 or 2 minutes. Okay.
And then, do you have any ideas? If you were told to supervise one of your friends, and you know you really do not want that person to cheat, what would you do that we are not doing currently?
Okay, well, in all honesty, yes, I have friends that cheat. And then if I were to supervise them, there's honestly nothing I can do, because if somebody has made up their mind that they are going to cheat, they will cheat and nothing will stop them. And then for me, cheating is also a matter of confidence, because there are lots of very, very smart people that still cheat because they doubt themselves and they believe they still don't know these things and they still end up cheating. And then in the lockdown, the smartest people I know started cheating for online tests. And then for me, that still comes back to what Rashida said earlier, that was from the Zoom class. And then when the lesson is over, they'll ask you, do you understand? Everybody says yes. And then when it's time for the exam, nobody knows it. And they have no choice but to cheat if they want to pass.
Wow.
Okay, so just to do a quick recap of some of the insights that people have shared on this point. 1, we need to find a way of assessing beyond examinations. 2, some of the points that Rashidat has raised, we have to find a way to make this less exhausting. Perhaps we need to incorporate a little bit of movement. These are practical things we can do, you know, maybe take brain breaks, take maybe 1 or 2 minutes of movement exercises in between the class so that people can at least refresh and re-engage with what it is we have going on. I'll come back to you, Mofe, right, but can I quickly take the Tutor General now? You're welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and especially on the platform. It's my pleasure joining you, although I joined late, but I can assure you that I got the gist of it all. I have noted those issues raised by the children. I agree with them. I also agree with the summary that you just gave, you know. But what I want to add is that the way we teach online is totally different from the way we teach in the classroom. So the teachers should have skills, these skills, online teaching, so that by the time we interact with these children using various activities and methods, you know, the children will find learning more interesting rather than focus attention on the test. The test is just one part of learning, and it's not a major part of learning. So children must know that, and that's what I tell my children. Well, you know, I'm a teacher, so all of them are my children. So I will not call them students this time around. That anytime you sit for an exam and you do not do as expected, that is, your scores are not as high as expected, it's telling me as your teacher that I need to change my methodology because you do not understand the concept. So it is not your fault, neither is it the teacher's fault, but we must come to a mutual agreement to ensure that in whichever I am putting this concept through to you, I just must ensure that it is meeting you at the level of your understanding. And then once we know that, then students or children will be ready to express themselves, to tell teachers that we do not understand this concept. And of course, the teacher must be patient we do not assume that once you introduce a concept, children must understand. That is not how learning takes place. We know the stages of learning, and we should have this at the back of our minds as teachers when we are teaching these children. So online learning, it has come to be. Like in Lagos State, we are going to have what we call blended learning. That is, there are some concepts that we would introduce to our students or our children one-on-one, and then we'll expect them to do a lot of peer exercises, group work. Those are things that will stimulate students. Those are things that will make them want to learn. And then we know that once they are not scoring high enough, it is an indication that they have not understood the concept. Sure. Once again, I thank you for this privilege given me.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ayodele. And I also want to acknowledge the presence of so many wonderful school owners and teachers. On the other side, we apologize, we can't bring everyone in because I can see the chairperson of NAPS Abuja branch. She's also here, Mrs. Olushola Bankole. I recognize you. I also want to acknowledge that there's so many teachers and from Covenant Child Academy, and a lot of them, the owner said they had to be here to listen to the students. And I can recognize also so many teachers in the audience. Thank you everyone for joining in. And I believe that we are really learning a lot listening to those children this afternoon, because it's all about them this afternoon. So let's just listen and hear what they have to tell us. So moderator,
thank you very much,
you here.
Thank you, Dr. Ayodele. That was a really, really insightful recap. You know, the thing is, I think maybe if we started with listening from the children, maybe it would have helped us one way or the other. Because apparently what I have been able to distill from our conversation so far today is that some of our teachers would need a little bit of assistance with modifying their teaching styles to delivering it online. It's really, I think it's beyond standing in front of a computer and then teaching it the way you would usually teach it. I think that from what Rashida and some of the others have also said, like I said earlier, we need to intentionally build in different learning styles into our delivery as teachers. She said something about just being stuck in your seat, and I said earlier that, for instance, when I teach, they are usually preschool kids, so they are under 5s. So some of the things we do, it can be just maybe 1 or 2 seconds where you wiggle your fingers up and down, do a dance or something like that. So I think that those are some of the things. You may think that they are they are older kids, but they are still kids. So those are some of the things that we need to think about. I saw that Mrs. Tony Idowu raised something about ebooks. And beyond ebooks, from what we have discussed, somebody said something about our curriculum not being suitable. Well, I'm the moderator, but I have my opinions about that. I just think that this means that everybody needs to, it's a learning curve for everybody, and everything curves, all right? Okay, so Rashida, you said you wanted to clarify something. Apparently your teacher is here. I don't remember her name, but she said she taught you and she's super proud of the lady you've become.
Yes, well, my
So if you are Rashida's teacher, you can put that up again so I get your name.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to clarify something regarding the exam malpractice. The only way, I've had some subjects I don't see that students are literally not able to cheat. There's no how much textbooks you have. There's no how much internet connect. No matter how wide or how vast your resources are, you are not able to cheat. And one of those subjects is literature, because it has to do with asking you what you personally feel. So the only way I feel like you can curb exam malpractice online is to build the questions in a way that you're not asking for textbook answers. You're asking for what
like regurgitation of facts.
Yes, that's the difference between exams here and exams in. Okay, I took IGCSEs for example, and I'm taking WAEC. My IGCSE question in, let's say, literature would ask me, what are your feelings about the writer's choice of words? And my WAEC question is, discuss the theme of loneliness in the book. And when you open the book's name is Lonely Days. So there are some subjects that are hard. Some things are impossible to do. And then you check another book. Okay, let's say math. Math, all you have to do is open. I don't feel inclined to cheat for math in my IGCSE because when I open my paper, I can see, find the area of a circle, and they give you the formula in it. This is the formula of it. Even if the question is twisted, having the formula does not guarantee you can get the answer. But it makes you feel it makes you feel less inclined to look for obsolete ways to pass your exam. Same thing goes for WAEC. WAEC actually helps. A lot of people don't realize it because it's not popularized. But then when you get into the exam, when they give you resources to help you, but they don't tell you how to go through the resources, which is honestly a blind side. But if you're able to understand it, that's just what I was trying to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. So the way we set questions, and I know somebody said something about that earlier, about please mute your mic. Everybody kindly please place your mic on mute. Okay, so
yes,
I
please
saw
mute
somebody.
your mic. We have about 15 minutes more. 15
to
minutes
wrap
more.
this up.
Okay.
Okay, so where was I? Can you please mute your mic? There's somebody whose microphone is
Abubakar, please mute your mic. Abubakar.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so for teachers, I believe we're all listening. Parents, you're listening. Your involvement, your participation changes the dynamics. If you're not facilitating the cheating, the children are worried about you catching them cheating. So it brings it down to a certain level. Also, I remember that when we started, Marvin said something about, being more focused because his parents are watching and, they have eagle eyes and he just has to get his work done. I know parents have to go to work, but if there's a way we can build in some form of responsible supervision, because that's a major part of what teachers do for us when we are in school. So if there's a way we can build in a form of responsible supervision, even when we're away from home, that will certainly help. Rashida, beautiful response there. How we set questions. Take formulas, for example, like she rightly said. So teachers, educators, school owners, school administrators who are here, I hope we are having our takeaway points from this. How we set questions really matter. Sometimes, we set up the system for the children to do something, to just go right ahead and cheat, right? Okay. So there's that. Final words. Now, we've all agreed that, it's been said that hybrid learning is here to stay. We may not go 100% virtual, but we are not likely to go 100% back to how things used to be. Virtual learning is here. If you're on the panel and you have found virtual learning a little bit better than traditional learning, could you please share, some of the solutions, some of the things that we can incorporate going forward? Okay, Solomon, I see you. Sharifat, are you raising your hands? Okay, so I'll take you right after Solomon.
So obviously virtually, classes are not more engaging, but they tend to make you much more flexible with your time. Not saying, because of course Rashida did make a valid point about, you have to help your mom, you have to help yourself. But the fact is, with that timing and all that work you're doing, you can actually find a better solution to your problems. For example, I take IB, which is very taxing because you have to learn a lot, especially if you do higher level subjects and standard level subjects as well. So the fact is, when it comes to time management, what I usually do is that after every class, I try to just make like summary notes on what I've learned, even if it was 2 hours or 1 hour long, and even if I have only 6 or 10 points down, it's still something. And the fact is, we have to also understand the flexibility of teachers. So they should just be more engaging. Like I remember my teacher, she started using something which I think would be great for people to use in classes called Kahoot. So Kahoot is like a quiz game.
Kahoot.
Exactly. So it's a quiz game that you can pick the questions that you want to be answered. And usually she'll do this as a brain tease or just to wake us up. And this would really get us more engaged in the class because it's not only are we able to participate in class, but we're having fun as well, which would allow us to even go through other mundane things like her talking and so on and so forth. But we have so much at like our disposal right now, not just Kahoot, we also have applications where we can draw and do this and that. I use that for
do you want
economic.
to mention one or two that you found useful? Thank you, Ayomide, for sharing the link to the to Kahoot's website.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for instance, I can say with Google Classroom, of course, or even Zoom at the moment, you can screen share and then it will show Blackboard. So you can just draw and do all these kinds of things. Like, of course, I know it doesn't replace the standard whiteboard and drawing in your notebook, but it's still something we can consider and it is still possible. And we also have to understand that, a lot of people are not being sincere when it comes to just like allowing themselves to do stuff in the classroom. And what I mean by this is that, of course, as soon as you accept it, it will become much more better for you. Because I can tell you that for the first 2 months while I was doing online class, I was not really in the best of moods because I felt like, I may not be able to go back to school again. And, my journey, there's now so many obstacles coming in my way. And, a lot of friends of mine and as well as students were feeling this mental pressure because you kind of feel isolated being in your room all the time and not knowing if you can go out or even go and see people and stuff like that. Hence why physical interactions help motivate students. But the thing is that if we are willing to accept online learning, then it will become much more engaging and allow us to just participate with each other and allow us to just even learn much more better and probably stop us from cheating if we can just give it a try. Hence, I mean, of course, people still cheat, but at least it's something.
Okay,
Awesome.
Thank you. Awesome take. Thank you. Sharifat. Yes, you have the floor.
Truly, in my perspective, the online lesson has also been beneficial because before the online lesson commenced, I felt discouraged because at times I don't feel interested, I don't feel motivated, I don't feel captivating, as in it's not captivating for me to engage in the online lesson. But I also thought that during this pandemic period, this is the right time to ask ourselves that a person that has been doing a particular job for more than 5 years and has not gotten up to 1,000 savings, such person needs to think. If the person has engaged in a particular struggle and has not seen anything productive, that person needs to think. So I sat down as a student that truly everything that happens for a reason. And I should not allow this pandemic period to destroy my 2020 plans. I took it upon myself to engage in the online lesson. Truly, there was a particular online lesson that was created in District 3 in Lagos State, which was District 3 Education Center. So, actually, I'm an SS2, but I took it upon myself to join and pretend as if I'm an SS3. And in that lesson, anybody that emerged the winner for that class, the class teacher will be awarded gifts. So, at first, I felt discouraged that I'm in the midst of SS3 students how can I teach children who I am? So I took upon myself that I can, I will, and I would. So from time to time, I kept on reading, and mostly I've always been awarded the class. Most people don't know I'm actually in the SS2, but I decided to keep that to myself. That no matter how old you are, no matter your level, your status, your religion, every child has potential, irrespective of their class, their age, their level of IQ, geographical location of school, and that no child should be confined by the adversity they experience, who their parents are, or what society expects of them. That is all it takes to change someone's life if given the opportunity. And I have always been a positive-minded being that I'll keep on striving.
Exactly. You see, thank you. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Sherifat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. She raised a point that we've not talked about, and I think that we talked about this at the opening ceremony. I see a lot of comments, about people saying, I can see a lot of comments, and I remember some of the names from the opening ceremony. I will not go into all of this, but Sherifat has said something really beautiful about a positive mindset. Look, this is where we are, and that's the reality.
Absolutely.
This is where we are. Will it change tomorrow? Maybe. But are we going to wait forever until something changes? Are we going to wait forever? And so thank you so much, Sherifat, for bringing in that perspective about a positive mindset. Look, your mindset is your A game. And if you don't have it fixed, you are going to see problems where other people see solutions. Look, there's only so much you can do. And I would like to say again that if there's a way you can read up more about this, Mr. Clement Adedeji and a few other people, please, I'm addressing us on this. There are things within your immediate circle of influence and circle of control. There are things outside of your circle of control and your circle of influence. If you consistently fix your focus on the things you cannot control, you'll be losing out on the benefits of controlling the things that you can. So thank you so much, Sherifat. It's a privilege to hear you talk here today. So thank you. Any other final words about making this work? Online learning is here to say, Korede. Yeah.
Okay. So I have something to say, like, the online lesson
looks like there's a slight issue with your internet.
Explanation has been much more easier. Like we use in class to copy notes, understand things better, and also we can have more practicals because the time we're using to write notes is cropped out because notes can be received online and something.
Okay.
That's a point. That's a point. Thank you. Thank you. So you either see the glass as half full or half empty, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Aha.
Okay.
I think we're getting very close to the end now.
We are really close.
Because I always believe in keeping to time. And I believe it's so important that we do. Who is asking a question?
Rashida, like her hand has been raised. So.
Okay.
Oh, okay, Rashida. Please.
I just wanted to give that if people want to search for something, if you have a keyword, let's say you want to learn something on probability in mathematics and you have like 50 YouTube videos and you search up on YouTube, I'm going to advise everybody to go to the closed captions. It's like a tiny little button at the end of your video and you can look, it's like YouTube types out subtitles of what the person is saying as a little file. And then you can find the keyword instead of you to watch a 20-minute video on probability.
That does not address what you're looking for.
Yes?
I'm listening.
YouTube has closed captions or a subtitles list. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but you should just look for it on the bottom side where you can adjust the video settings. It gives you the important, or at least summarizes everything that the video is saying in case you don't have 20 minutes or an hour to watch a whole video, you can get to the point quicker. That's another learning resource that you can use. And the online timetable should be more realistic. You can't expect us to be at home from 8 to 4 and still do 10 subjects like we usually do. It takes a lot out of you. You need to allocate time for us to eat, because we forget to eat. We need to it should just be more home friendly to suit everybody at home, so that you're getting your work done and you're being productive about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rashida. Thank you.
I love that.
Thank you.
I hope our teachers are listening and school owners are listening. Make the lessons more home friendly. Udoka, yes, Udoka. Udoka.
Okay. I feel that the online classes are something we can get used to if we do over a long period of time. And also exam malpractice can be prevented not only by shortening the time for questions or tests, because you might actually have a long question or something to solve that might take a long time. But if it's possible to make questions or tests like questions and answers, like you can ask the person to answer, it will be a lot easier instead of writing and giving the person to do. So it's a better way of preventing cheating if you can make it a conversation between the student to see if the child actually understands what you're trying to teach. That would be a better way.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. We are taking final words now. Ayomide, any last thoughts? Quickly.
All I really wanted to say is this is a much longer conversation, and there are a bunch of ideas in the chat that people can actually go through, because it's not something here. We're just here to bring up the issues, and there are a bunch of other issues in the chat that people have brought up, and this would all be worthless if people don't go outside of here, speak about it, figure out ways to help their particular situations. And there was another thing I was thinking about is the larger issue of people who don't have access, and ways we can actually work around that, because there are schools who have more than enough, and there are schools, it's not really a spectrum anymore. It's both ends of the coin. And if there are schools who are able to help those schools, because I know a bunch of public school students, from what I know so far, will be unable to have these online classes because of it. And oftentimes, we do not see the government doing anything. And the more time we spend on the government trying to get these things done, the more time we are wasting. And those kids are not learning anything. And in terms of exam malpractice, I know there's an app we use in school. It's called Canvas. That's where all our grades and everything are put up. There's a feature on it where
mention the name again so other people get it.
Canvas.
Canvas, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and then it basically has, I think it has this feature where the teachers see when you change the tab or change something on that. So that's one part of it that is covered, but there's also the thing of having other devices around you, and that creates a whole new issue on its own. And looking to the issue with malpractice again, I think another large issue is not just the curriculum. The curriculum is something that can be taught in many ways. The curriculum itself may not really be the problem, because the content is essential more times than not. But how it's delivered to the students, because sometimes even the teachers don't fully understand what they're teaching. I have seen teachers who don't fully understand what they're trying to teach. How do you expect to explain to a student, help them understand this particular thing? And then you yourself are struggling and just giving us copy and paste. Because I've seen notes that were basically a textbook copied for us. And I was like, so what was the point? And it's not, because I also know there are a bunch of teachers who fully understand those things and are just unable to fully express those things. So there's also another thing the schools need to look into in terms of helping those teachers develop, because teachers don't start perfect. Half the time, they still need help in various ways to fully understand how to teach. It's not even just about having all the content. You can be extremely brilliant and you are unable to give that information you have in yourself. So there are a lot of things that we need to look into, but for each situation, there's a root problem for that particular situation. And if those who are in those areas are able to figure out what that root problem is, because the real problem for everywhere is never going to be the same in this, because education is not just going to school anymore. Education has been made to look like that. Even exams, I feel like they've done more bad than good to students than I've ever seen. Because seeing
That's
your
a
grades,
radical thought.
it's not radical thought in the real sense, because there are students who exams just give them anxiety and they are not even able to write during the exam. Because for me, I know timing in general causes problems for me, because I find it hard to read during exams. And there are other people with harder situations who are struggling just because they keep thinking about the time, and it's not something you just get over. Sometimes you may fully understand everything. You can go outside of the class, or you may even have explained it to someone else, and then you're unable to do anything during the exam. So there are a lot of caveats in this situation. Exams, the way they are currently, based more towards, oh, this grade is going to affect you. This is how people, so it makes people chase the wrong thing. Rather than chase the learning, now they're just chasing, I must have the best grades ever. And failure is not a thing, because failure is essential for some people.
To be feared.
Yeah, and yeah,
Thank you.
It's a larger group of problems that each person needs to think on their own, figure out, understand how they can improve, and it's just a bunch of. All right, thank you.
Wow. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sharifa. Thank you, Angela. Confidence. Joseph. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Ayomide. Thank you, Yaya. Thank you, Mofe. Nice hair, by the way.
Can we hear something from Ogechi? She really didn't talk much from Ladella School. Is that what we're a closing word from her, as well as Joseph Kupolati?
Okay.
Yes. From Ogechi and then Joseph Kupolati. Yes.
So I want to say that from what I've learned so far, through the online school and everything, that it also teaches you discipline, that you're using something that kids are very fond of, their phone, their social media, there's everything you can use with your phone, and knowing how to balance your time to go to use it for school and for education, and use it for other various things that, of course, now you can't go to school, you can't do this one, you can't do this one. I come home now, I use my phone, I use it for anything I want to do. But now knowing that, okay, I can't use my phone to do this, I have to get my work done, I must attend my lessons, I must submit my assignments. It makes you think that, okay, when will you adapt? But time and time, if we continue to do the same thing over and over again, that it suits everyone, it'll be okay. That online school will be fine for everybody else to use. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. The other person, I'm sorry I skipped your name.
Joseph Kupolati.
Yes, Joseph.
I saw his hand up.
Thank you very much for me answering this question. Well, basically, I'm going to be very honest. I'm not going to go with the crowd. Basically what I think about online school is that it's easier. It's easier for teachers, especially when they are grading our work, making our grades. It makes it very easier, especially for children. It makes us free, and it also teaches us a lot of things. We have the ability to cheat. We are home, nobody's with us. That is why it says that our parents will always take very good responsibility, put very good supervision with us. And verily, I wanted to say, somebody said that Nigerian's curriculum is not good. We are here to change the future. We can't just, it doesn't mean that it must always remain like that. We change the future. We are not here just leave everything and just talking about our country like that. We are here to change the future and make our country a better place.
Thank you, Joseph. That's adorable.
You know what makes that exciting for me? He's a very, very young boy talking. and saying that, yes, we are here to change the future.
Change the future.
Honestly, I celebrate the young ones in this country. We are thankful. We are thankful that despite it all, we have formidable young Nigerians. We're all proud of you guys. Well done. I'm so thrilled. This is amazing. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Please, can we give ourselves a round of applause? Can you just cheer on our panelists? I don't know about you, but I've had an amazing time. Look, I sort of had a picture of what I was expecting to hear, but you know, you guys totally went off script. So thank you so much for being honest, for being refreshing. Some of the things we weren't even thinking about, for bringing all of those things up. It is a wake-up call for everybody. Will this conversation solve all the problems? No. But if there's a quote I remember from long ago, it is better to know all of the questions than to know some of the answers. It is better to know all of the questions than to know some of the answers. This conversation is an eye-opener. If you are a teacher, a school owner, an administrator, you know where the pain points are for the students right now. So you have an idea of what they are going through. So you can structure your teacher training to address those pain points, right? Another thing, if you are developing products for e-learning, I have seen a lot about cost. I mean, somebody said something that Canvas is really, really expensive. It sounded like a nice solution when Ayomide brought it up. But when schools have to factor in costs, and then some parents feel that when the teaching is online, why should they pay, or why should they pay as much? That's an entirely different conversation. But all I've been able to gather from this is everybody has a role to play. Students, can I talk on behalf of everybody? We need you guys to please put your mind, just sort of like copy Sherifat and develop a positive mindset. This is difficult, but you guys are stronger and more amazing than you think. You can do great stuff. Look at all of us adults. We are here sitting to listen to you guys. It is because we know you have something to offer. It is because we know you know things that some of us really do not, despite the age difference. So we need you guys to please adopt a positive mindset. We need you to please live up to the trust that you want us to have in you. If you keep cheating on your online test, it's going to be difficult for us to get past that until we have technology or solutions that can help us to resolve that. So if there's anything you can do, please talk to your friends. Let them adopt a positive mindset. Like Ogechi said, from the lady from Nadella, you need to be able to manage your time. You have to be useful at home, but please, you're growing up now, and this is the real world. You need to learn to manage your time online, on social media, and all of that. So those who also build products, you need to also sort of think about costs. Thank you, Mr. Sharafaddin, but we need more things to be able to be accessible offline. We need more things to be accessible offline. I know that's a tall order. I know that's not easy, but it is something we have to consider if we are going to make this work. I've had an amazing time, and I cannot think of a better way to spend my Saturday evening. Mrs. Saindo, it's an honor to see you. Good evening, ma'am. I'm so happy to see everybody. So that's about it.
I think that Ayomide has something.
Yes, I just read it as well.
Maybe you can read it out. What Ayomide has on the chat box.
Can you please let me check that?
It will be a welcome development.
Okay, he said it will. You said you've been looking into the possibility of pooling the powers of various network providers in the school to create a system just for schools. However, the small for providers in the country to create a system just for schools, however the small possibility may be. That's an amazing one. Thank you, Christiana Olufunke, Oluwale Oluwakemi, Dabo Taiwo, Samson Asumo, Everybody, we've had a very, very brilliant conversation. Abosede Asumo, Isa Kuola, Silifat Adenike, Omo Nokoje. I mean, I can't go. I just want to say, like Ayomide said, I don't know if it's possible, but if there's a way for you to go through the chat, there's a lot that did not, hit the microphone. The conversation there is really robust. So if there's a way for you to just quickly go through it, there are gems in there. So
you can copy, you can save your chat, or you can copy and paste it.
Okay. So Marvin says you can save your chat or you can copy and paste it out of the mouth of the lady. So thank you very much. Last words from Mrs. Ogunde.
Oh.
Hi, Solomon. Nice meeting you.
Yeah. Hello, who's there's a microphone that is on now, very, very prominent one there. This has been an amazing afternoon. I never knew that it will go like this. I just thought, let's have the children together and then we just do it and we go. But there's so many things to take away. Thank God this program is recorded. We'll all need to go through it again. We'll find a way of putting it on YouTube so that everybody can have access to it and just reflect. I think we need to encourage both teachers and school owners to listen to this program, as well as service providers. It's so important. I want to especially acknowledge the support and contribution of Mrs. Funke Fowler Amber to making this a reality. I know that this is something that we've been talking about since May. We all kept on postponing it, and we finally decided that, yes, it is time. Thank you very much, my sister. And
thank you
to all our dear speakers and our panelists this evening. You have all given us hope. We are also excited that all is not lost. That's why I've kept on saying that we are proud of you. And from both the public school sector, the private school sector, from Borno, from Kano, from everywhere. Honestly, this country is destined for great things. There is no putting Nigeria down with this crop of talents. This is, it's quite exciting for every one of us. And I want to acknowledge the presence of the Tutor General of District 1, Dr. Yinka Ayodele. Thank you so much for joining in. Mrs. Angela Ajala, the Chairperson of NAPS, Mrs. Olushola Bankole. Thank you all, my dear sister Toyi Dowu, Dr. Vera James, and so many others on the platform. And of course, our dear a friend of the house, MTN, Mr. Sharafuli, yes, is still here. Thank you very much that despite the very, very short notice, MTN was able to come on board. We're truly grateful. You can see that this is a conversation that is very interesting. Dr. Ayodele is from District 3, not District 1. She used to be in District 1. So, we want to thank you. It's been a beautiful evening, so much to digest. Every one of us just reflecting and thinking, and clearly the future is here. Technology is the way. We can't go back to how we used to be before. It's almost impossible. So we have to process our mindset like this, like Sherifat said, let's embrace it. Like Ayomide said, let's discover the fun in it. Like Solomon said, is the way forward. Let's do it with integrity. Like Rashida said, we just have no other alternative. We have to just make sure it works. God bless you. Thank you for joining in. And I'm sure that very soon we will also be able to bring everyone again. Have a very, very lovely evening. So.
Okay, thank you, everybody. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Oh, did somebody take pictures? No.
Please take pictures, take pictures. Is our saxophonist there? Toyosi, can we have the national anthem as we close? Can you give us the national anthem as we switch off? Let's know if Toyosi is still there.
Oh, it looks like he isn't.
Okay, maybe it's switched. Maybe it's gone off.
Okay.
Maybe it's yes. Maybe it's gone off. And yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for joining in. Have an amazing evening. Students, thank you so much. You guys are light,
everybody,
you're
please
powerful,
unmute,
shine bright.
and let's say bye-bye.
Let's say bye, bye,
please
bye,
unmute
everybody.
yourselves and say bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Rashida, thank you. Bye. Bye, Sharifa. Bye, Joseph. Yeah, bye. Bye, Korede. Bye, Confidence.
Bye.
Bye, Udoka.
Bye. Korede, bye-bye. Udoka, bye-bye.
Goodbye,
It's been amazing. Bye, everybody.
Barista Nikita, bye-bye.